Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we are going off the beaten path. You know how we do.
Uh-huh.
We like to find those hidden gems, and this time we're heading to Minnesota
Ooh.
to explore the Chimney Rock Scientific and Natural Area.
Sounds interesting.
Now, I know what you're thinking, Chimney Rock. What's so special about a rock?
Yeah, a rock is a rock, right?
But trust me, this isn't just any rock.
Okay, I'm all ears.
And I've got just the expert to guide us through this deep dive.
Well, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
So to kick things off, what exactly is Chimney Rock?
Well, Chimney Rock is this really cool 30-foot tall sandstone pillar.
Whoa, 30 feet. That's like,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And it's actually the last one of its kind in Dakota County.
So there are others.
Yeah, you're right on the money there. Used to be others like at Castle Rock and Lone Rock.
Oh, so what happened to them?
Well, you know, it's that age-old story erosion.
Makes sense. I mean, it's rock. It's exposed to the elements.
Exactly.
Right.
Millions of years, wind, rain, ice, all taking their toll, shaping the landscape.
Yeah, nature's a patient artist, isn't it?
It really is. It's incredible when you think about it. I mean, even Zebulon Pike, the explorer, he documented Lone Rock back in the early 1800s.
Wow. So we're talking a long, long time ago.
We are. And it really makes you appreciate how much the landscape has changed since then.
So how did Chimney Rock manage to survive while others crumbled? What's its secret?
That's a great question. And that's where the science comes in.
Okay, let's get into it.
So sandstone, you know, it's basically just sand cemented together over time, right?
Yeah, like a giant compressed sandcastle.
Exactly. Now picture that sandcastle being out in the elements for millions of years.
You're going to start to wear down.
For sure. The weaker parts get carved away by those erosional forces, leaving behind the stronger, more resilient sections.
So in Chimney Rock's case, it's just made of tougher stuff.
Well, it's a combination of things. Its unique composition and the specific way those erosional forces acted on it allowed it to stand tall while others, you know, succumbed to time.
So it's a survivor.
A true survivor. And a testament to the power of natural selection, even in geology.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
But it also makes you realize how fragile these formations can be.
Definitely. So that begs the question, what are we doing to protect Chimney Rock?
Right, because if erosion is a constant threat, how do we ensure it stands for another million years?
Well, that's where the scientific and natural area designation comes in.
Okay, now I've heard that term before, but what does it actually mean in practice?
It basically means it's an area with special ecological features that are worth protecting and preserving.
So it's not just about the rock itself, but the entire ecosystem surrounding it.
You got it. It's about recognizing that interconnectedness. Everything plays a role. The rock, the plants, the animals, the soil. It's all part of a delicate balance.
A balance that we need to protect.
Exactly. And thankfully, people are starting to realize that back in 2002, the local community, they saw the value in places like Chimney Rock and passed a county bond issue to fund conservation efforts.
Wow, so the community really rallied behind this.
They did. And then in 2011, the Minnesota DNR, they stepped in and purchased 76 acres around Chimney Rock, officially making it a protected area.
That's amazing. So it's officially off limits to developers and all that.
Pretty much. It ensures that Chimney Rock and its surroundings are protected for future generations.
That's fantastic to hear. So we've talked about the rock itself now. Let's talk about what lives around it. What kind of plant life thrives in this seemingly harsh environment?
You know, you might think a lone rock in the middle of nowhere wouldn't be teeming with life, but you'd be surprised.
Okay, so what do we talk about here?
Well, Chimney Rock actually supports a really unique mix of plant communities.
Like what?
We're talking dry bedrock bluff prairie, dry sand gravel prairie, and even some pin oak burrow oak woodland.
Wow, that's a lot more diversity than I expected.
It is, and it gets even cooler. Get this, the area supports 4 rare plant species.
Okay, now we're talking. I love rare plants. Tell me more.
So we have the endangered narrow-leaved pinweed, the threatened kittentails and woolly beech heather, and the special concern Canada frostweed.
Wow. So this unassuming rock is like a haven for rare and threatened plants.
It really is. It just goes to show that even these small, seemingly insignificant pockets of nature, they play a vital role in preserving biodiversity.
And that's so important, especially now with all the environmental pressures our planet is facing.
Couldn't agree more. Every little bit helps.
Speaking of life, finding a way. I know our listeners are big animal lovers. So tell me, what about the wildlife? What kind of critters call Chimney Rock home?
Well, from the research you sent over, there's been sightings of all sorts of creatures.
Give me the rundown.
Well, we've got American crows, blue jays, warblers, woodpeckers, even wild turkeys.
Wow. A real avian paradise.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And it's not just birds. We've got coyotes, white-tailed deer, American red squirrels all making appearances.
It's amazing how this one spot can support such a diverse range of creatures.
It really is. It highlights the interconnectedness of nature, how everything relies on everything else.
It makes you want to experience it firsthand. So tell me, what's it like to actually visit Chimney Rock?
Well, based on what I've read, finding Chimney Rock can be a bit of an adventure in itself.
Oh, how so?
Apparently, there's not much in the way of signage or designated parking.
Oh, so you have to kind of figure it out yourself.
Yeah, you gotta be in that treasure hunt mentality.
I like that.
Yeah.
It adds to the mystique.
Right. And once you find it, it sounds like a beautiful experience.
Paint me a picture.
Well, several sources describe the trail leading to the rock as a well-worn footpath through the woods.
Okay, so a bit of a hike through nature.
Exactly. But there is a bit of a downside.
Oh no, what's that?
Several sources also mention the presence of vandalism and garbage.
Oh man, that's such a shame.
It is. It's a reminder that even in these beautiful natural spaces, we have to be mindful of our impact.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to think that some people disrespect a place like that.
It really is. It makes you wonder about, how we can better balance access and appreciation with preservation.
That's a great point. And it's something we'll definitely be exploring further as we continue our deep dive into Chimney Rock. It's amazing how this conversation about a single rock formation has already touched on so many different things.
It really has, huh? Geology, ecology, conservation, even human behavior? It's all connected.
It is. It really highlights how everything in nature is intertwined. But speaking of connections, I'm curious about the bigger picture.
Okay, what do you mean?
But we've zoomed in on Chimney Rock itself. But what about the area where it's located? What's the geological context?
Good question. So we're actually in the Paleozoic Plateau, which is this massive expanse of sedimentary rock. It stretches across a huge chunk of Midwest.
Wow. So Chimney Rock is just a tiny part of this much larger formation.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Imagine layers upon layers of sediment deposited over millions of years. And eventually, all that sediment hardens into rock. That's what we're standing on. Well, metaphorically speaking, of course.
So Chimney Rock is like the tip of the iceberg, geologically speaking.
Precisely. Now, if we zoom in a bit closer, we're on the Rochester Plateau, which is known for these unique erosional features, like our beloved Chimney Rock.
So it's a hotspot for cool rock formations.
You could say that. And then the immediate landscape around Chimney Rock is part of the Hampton-Till Plain.
Okay, now I've never heard of that one. What's special about it?
Well, it was shaped by glaciers during the last ice age.
Oh, wow. So glaciers played a role in creating the landscape we see today.
They did. As they advanced and retreated, they left behind this jumbled mix of sediments, and that created the foundation for the landscape we see today.
So Chimney Rock sits on top of a whole history of geological events.
Exactly. It's like each layer tells a different chapter in the story of this landscape.
That's a great way to put it. It makes you want to dig down and explore each layer.
Uh-huh. Well, if you're interested in that, I definitely encourage you to check out the resources we've linked in the show notes. There's a ton of information out there about the geology of the area.
I'll have to check it out. So we've talked about the distant past, but what about the present? What's happening right now to protect and preserve Chimney Rock?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, the Minnesota DNR purchasing the land was a huge step. It officially designated the area as a scientific and natural area.
Right, which means it's protected from development and all that.
Exactly. But protection goes beyond just owning the land.
That's true. What about the day-to-day stuff? The maintenance? The stewardship?
Good point. That's where groups like the Hastings Environmental Protectors come in.
Okay, I've heard of them, I think. Tell me more about what they do.
They're this amazing group of volunteers. They dedicate so much time and effort to maintaining the site.
Look, what kind of maintenance?
All sorts of things. Removing invasive species, educating visitors, advocating for continued protection. They're really passionate about preserving Chimney Rock.
That's fantastic. It's so inspiring to see people taking action like that.
It is. It shows that individuals can make a real difference.
So what's next for the Hastings Environmental Protectors? What are they working on now?
Well, from what I've read, they're tackling a pretty big project. There's this section of cropland within the SNA, and they're hoping to convert it back to prairie.
Oh, wow. That's ambitious.
It is. But can you imagine how transformative that would be?
It would be incredible. Not just visually, but ecologically as well.
Exactly. It would create more habitat for those rare plant species we talked about, and it would enhance the overall biodiversity of the area.
It's like giving back to nature, repairing some of the damage we've done.
I like that. It's a beautiful way to think about it.
It makes you realize that conservation isn't just about protecting what's there. it's also about restoring what's been lost.
You're right. It's about taking an active role in shaping the future of our planet.
You know, as we're talking about all this, I keep coming back to that question you raised earlier.
Which one?
The one about balancing access and appreciation with preservation.
Yes. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, because we want people to experience the wonder of these places, to connect with nature, to be inspired.
Of course.
Yeah.
But we also have to be mindful of our impact.
Yeah, because even small actions can add up over time.
Exactly. Like walking off trail or leaving behind trash. Those things might seem insignificant on their own, but when you multiply them by thousands of visitors, it can have a real impact.
It's a tough balance to strike.
It is. But I think awareness is key. The more people understand about the fragility of these ecosystems and the impact of their actions, the better choices they'll make.
I agree. Education is so important.
It is, and I think our deep dive into Chimney Rock is a perfect example of that. We're learning about its history, its ecology, the threats it faces, and the efforts to protect it.
Right, and hopefully all this information will inspire our listeners to be more responsible visitors.
That's the goal. Whether they visit Chimney Rock or any other natural area, we want them to appreciate its beauty while respecting its fragility.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from geology to ecology to conservation. We even touched on the visitor experience and those unfortunate instances of vandalism.
It's been a really insightful deep dive.
It has. And before we wrap things up, I think it's important to bring it back to our listener.
Good idea. So what's the one key takeaway you hope they walk away with from all of this? For me, it's that even these small, seemingly insignificant places, they can have such a huge impact on the bigger picture. You know, they're not just pretty to look at. They have this incredible ecological and historical value.
Yeah, and they need our protection.
Exactly. And that's something we can all contribute to.
How so?
Well, by making conscious choices.
Yeah.
You know, like staying on marked trails, packing out our trash. Even small actions like that, they can make a real difference.
You're right. It's about recognizing that our individual choices, they do matter.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by, the scale of environmental challenges.
Yeah.
But if we all do our part, it can really add up.
It's about shifting our mindset from feeling helpless to feeling empowered.
Exactly. And that brings us to a final thought for our listeners to ponder.
Ooh, I like this part.
So we've talked about how we can protect Chimney Rock from human impact. But what if we flip the script? What if we asked what Chimney Rock can teach us about ourselves?
That's an interesting way to look at it.
It is, isn't it? Instead of seeing it as this fragile thing we need to protect, what if we see it as a source of wisdom?
I like that. What can we learn from this ancient formation?
Exactly. What stories does it hold about resilience, about adaptation, about the interconnectedness of life?
It's been standing there for millions of years through all sorts of changes. It must have some secrets to share.
Right. So as you go about your day, maybe think about that.
Yeah.
What can Chimney Rock teach you? What insights can you gain from its enduring presence?
And if you want to learn more about Chimney Rock specifically, we've included a bunch of resources in the show notes.
Yes, definitely check those out. There's so much more to explore. And who knows, maybe it'll inspire you to seek out other hidden gems in your own neck of the woods.
Or even plan a trip to Minnesota to see Chimney Rock for yourself.
That's right. Well, folks, that's a wrap on another deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.
And remember, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those curious minds firing.
We'll see you next time.